problem in terms of the definition of anti-Semitism and why it's become so troubling today. Because Israel is not a Jew, Israel is a state, and Israel is nothing to do with being Jewish. We will get onto that when we talk about Zionism, because Zionism is an ideology. Israel is a state. Israel is in fact a colonialist state. We don't need to go into that in great depth. This definition has, as we say, has become a definition that silences speech against Israel. You speak against Israel, oh, you're anti-Semitic, because of the IHRA definition. They use the Holocaust as a sort of cover to, because it's once you've got Holocaust in there, it must be right, because the Holocaust, everyone will subscribe to how terrible the Holocaust was. And so you use the Holocaust and you say, and now you find that if people say things against Israel, they say it's anti-Semitic.
What worries me about that definition is that the Zionists deign to speak for all Jews, and it makes me very angry when people talk about the Jewish community, because there's no such thing. In the same way that you'd get annoyed if people talked about the Muslim community, there's no such thing, or the Christian community or whatever. How dare they speak on our behalf? The other thing that annoys me is looking down at number 7, and that absolutely Israel is a racist endeavour, because they treat it in the same way that your experience with South Africa, it was a racist endeavour because it treats one group of people as very much second-class citizens, probably worse than apartheid South Africa. And Gaza is not an open-air prison camp, it's an open-air ghetto, in the same way that our ancestors were kept in ghettos before they were murdered. And number 11, drawing comparisons between Israel policy and that of the Nazis, I think that's absolutely accurate.
The Nazis were ashamed of the gas chambers. Sadly, Israel is not ashamed of what it's doing in Gaza.
The other interesting thing about Israel and the Holocaust is it was quite late in the life of the State of Israel when they started talking about the Holocaust. Like the Nazis, they wanted to keep the Holocaust quiet, Israel, because it didn't play into their narrative that this is a plucky, young, thrusting state that's greening the desert. They didn't want that narrative that the Jews went to their deaths like lambs to the slaughter. It was only in 1961 when Eichmann was executed after he was captured by Israeli agents. That's one of the top Nazis. Then they started to talk about the Holocaust. Up until then, they didn't want to know about the Holocaust. And unbelievably, one of the groups, there's many groups that get treated, Jewish groups that get treated badly in Israel, and they're dying out, they're probably all gone now. Well, the Holocaust survivors, because this was a symbol that Israel didn't like. This was the meek and the mild that surrendered to the Holocaust. They didn't want that association at all. So they weaponized the Holocaust on purpose. And they won. They've done really well. There's loads of... Every city now has to have a monument, a museum to the Holocaust. They're thinking about building one in Westminster and spending millions on it. This country wasn't responsible for the Holocaust. There's no anti-slavery monument in this country. We were responsible for the slave trade. It's almost like you have to join the the Holocaust Memorial mania. I'm not saying it shouldn't be memorialised, but it's almost like liberal democracies have to have this.
I don't know how many of you know about the Roma. The Roma too were murdered in the gas chambers. No one has a memorial to the Roma. And today the Roma are the biggest the Roma, Gypsy and Traveller people are the biggest persecuted minority throughout Europe, in spite of the fact that they were murdered in the Holocaust. So when you see the Roma, remember that. They are, and why? They're not a powerful people. They don't have arms and they don't have an army.
It's very simple on some levels. If you're anti-racist, you're anti the state of Israel.
Too many Jews have been injected with the virus of Zionism, but it's not their fault. Israel has worked assiduously. They invest in Jewish organizations. They make Jewish people feel big about themselves, and they think if they're big about themselves, then like they'll be safe. But they're not safe. We're not safe. In fact, Israel is the biggest amplifier of anti-Semitism there is.